here with head coach Angela Spoja of the women's volleyball team. You were on the road last weekend at Pomona and San Marcos. Came up a little short. If you just want to give your thoughts on those games and how they went, what went well and what didn't.
Yeah, I actually thought we played Pomona pretty tough in the third and fourth set. I was hoping to push a fifth set. That would have been really good for us. We fell a little bit short on that. But the volleyball was pretty good volleyball on both sides and exciting to watch. We definitely cleaned up our unforced errors, and I appreciated that a lot from our team, and they know they've been working really hard on that. So I thought that was really good. Against, I'm like, oh, trying to like.
San Marcos?
Yeah, San Marcos, thank you. Yeah. See, that's how it is when you travel here.
Yeah.
It's like you're like, hey, where was I at last weekend? Yeah. Against San Marcos, really good, solid team. They have a very good outside hitter who our goal was to stop her in the front row. That was difficult for us. So we'd go on runs, and then she'd rotate to the front row, and she'd get her points. But we did do something that we don't normally or haven't done in the past, and we switched our defense in the third set, and it did work. And I liked the fact that we generally haven't been fast processors, and I called a timeout and switched to defense, and they went out and did it right away, and I thought that was a pretty big win for us, just being able to do something right away and not having to take the time to practice it and go over it, so.
You talked about last week that, the travel is just kind of was ridiculous how you were set up going from Northern California all the way to SoCal and having barely a day. Yeah. So how do you think your team adjusted to that travel this past week?
Oh, it was not great.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we took the day off yesterday. It's and I, if I feel tired and I'm not playing, can you imagine what it's like for them? Yeah, I did talk to the coaches though that we did play and brought up our schedule for next year, and it sounds like everybody is okay with having us play Thursday, Saturday. So hopefully we'll make those changes moving forward, just have that day in between.
Right.
Because even just playing and jumping in the car and driving and then getting up and playing the next day, it's pretty tough.
Mm-hmm. And in that Saturday game, you mentioned the defensive switch up in the third set, I think it was. Mm-hmm. Can you just kind of explain what that was?
We normally play a perimeter defense, which is just a general defense for college volleyball, but we switched to a rotation defense on number 7. She loves to hit kind of line in what we call lingle, which is like she's hitting here, if this is the outside of the court, she either hits right here or right in between that seam, and that's the seam that our perimeter defense kind of gives up. So we switched to rotate, which puts somebody on that line. It makes Mina's job as our libero very big because she's covering the whole left side of the court. She did a fantastic job. She's just really playing well right now and kind of coming into her own, and I expect these next 4 matches are going to be really good for her. And then it kind of messes up, like the setter just goes for the tips. So basically we move the setter out of the way so we can dig the rest of the court.
And that was more of just based on someone on San Marcos rather than like a philosophy thing?
So my philosophy is if you can't block it, you got to dig it, right? So we can block her. She probably touches 10-2 or 10-3, I'm assuming, and she hits at such a trajectory. She's jumping, and we're coming down, and she's still jumping. And so our block was coming down, and we were getting some touches, but she was mostly hitting over us. So we were like, okay, well, let's try to dig it, because the trajectory, if we put somebody there, maybe they'll have a chance. And we did. We dug it several times. So I thought that was a really good change. And for our athletes to be able to make in the middle of a game was good adjustment for them.
And as you're kind of building the program, as you've mentioned before, later in the season, maybe wins and losses aren't exactly what you're looking for. What are you looking for when you're
kind of things like that. So we had a lot of freshmen on the court this last weekend, and I'm looking for, hey, can I give them something in the middle of game time, and can they do it, right? Can they be quicker processors? Because that's part of my job is strategy, but if you don't have people that work well within that, right, like that can process really quick and jump back on and do it, it makes it harder. So I thought they did a great job at that. We're still obviously working on our unforced errors, and they have, we asked, where are you still feeling deficient on the court? And they named several areas, out of system hits. They named actually a lot of our left back defense. They talked about that a little bit. So we have our practices for this week just around the things that all of the athletes said, like these are the things where I feel like I'm not very comfortable in. And then they said we want to keep doing our unforced error drills because we think they're helping us be better. So those are the things we're focusing on.
And just how valuable is that kind of maybe letting younger players get experience in competitive conference games?
It's very valuable. You know, I need to get those kids out there to get touches and to see what we're up against. It doesn't really do me any good to keep them on the bench, right? If they're getting those touches and they're playing against all juniors and seniors on the other side and we're holding our own, we're still getting beat, but we're holding our own. That's a big, huge bonus for next year. And, you know, we're always looking at the journey, right? Like the longevity and the path that we're taking. And I think that that there's value, there's just big time value in those younger players just getting the time they need. If you look at any other rosters, like we had, I mean, Sonoma has mostly all seniors, 1 junior on the court, and graduate players. San Marcos, juniors, seniors, graduate, except for their libero, who's a freshman. So, I mean, we're playing teams that are really senior heavy, and, you know, we're freshman heavy, so I'm like feeling pretty good about it.
This Thursday you have East Bay at home, and then Saturday at home as well.
Mm-hmm.
So what is that like to have that nice kind of, you get to stay here?
We are so excited.
Yes.
We are so excited to be here in our
Yes.
home gym, and we're excited to sleep in our own bed. And these are going to be big games for us. I mean, win or lose, I don't believe, and I can knock on wood right now, but that we'll get beaten 3. I just think we will play hard for our crowd, and these are both teams like Monterey Bay. Last time we played them, we didn't do a good job. We got off a plane basically and played them, and I think that we'll do a better job being in our gym. And then East Bay, we went to 5 in their gym. So I think that, and I think both of their coaches are also expecting that we'll probably go 4 or 5, whether it goes on our side or theirs. So,
Well, good luck this weekend.
Thank
and
you.
We're excited to see you next week.
yeah, sounds good. Thanks.
Good luck.